What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of NineNerdYards, and it's a very special episode that we have tonight because we are joined with a duo of production designers that you may have seen the work in a Black Lady sketch show. They've done videos for SZA, Light as a Feather. They've done shows that featured Oscar winners like Michelle Yeoh. I'm only talking about the duo of Cindy Chao and Michele Yu. And how are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing awesome. How are you?
Fantastic. Oh, we're doing fantastic. Oh, that is not the
thank you.
layout anymore.
Yeah.
Doing very well.
There we go. That's much better.
There it is. There it is.
And thank you guys so much for joining us for International Production Design Week. Something we just found out about.
Very excited.
Yeah.
So can you tell us guys about International Production Design Week?
Yeah, the Production Designers Collective, which is a group of production designers started by production designers that has been in operation for a few years now. They organize fabulous, wonderful events to connect production designers together and share experiences and share knowledge and just celebrate each other. And they have put together International Production Design Week, which is truly international. It's many nations, production designers from across the world, in 1 week, hosting so many incredible events locally and also online. Cindy has been involved in helping organize some of the LA events here with the Art Directors Guild,
including an immersive exhibit where we're actually showcasing a whole timeline of production design through its golden era from the beginning through present day. And we are recreating 5 virtual sets and projecting them into a volume, along with images collected from concept artists, illustrators, set designers, throughout the whole year. So it's going to be awesome to see all that work projected in the
I have to send our LA correspondents down for that.
Yeah,
hell yeah, definitely. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to the Evite because there's still some slots open. It's this coming Saturday, the 21st. So it's going to be a great way to start International Production Design Week.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when you say that's going to be projected onto the volume, is that the thing where I'm thinking about like Disney Plus, Marvel, with that is crazy.
360
has
views.
That been an amazing tool to be able to use recently with because they just started kind of using the volume with all of their shows and everything. Has that been kind of a brand new technology, something interesting to work with while you're a production designer?
Definitely for us, because we've never actually worked on a show that worked on a volume. This exhibit in particular will be really interesting to see the virtual sets projected onto there. So without any physical elements in front of it. So it is strictly just virtual sets that a bunch of designers created to replicate and be projected.
Amazing.
That's
so cool.
Such a cool and unique idea. And I mean, just thinking about like some of your shows and some of your commercials and music videos that we've been watching, just getting ready for this, I could just imagine how much you can do with having that sort of, I guess that sort of paintbrush to paint onto or I guess that sort of a canvas to paint onto,
Yeah, exactly.
And so you guys are a duo and work together, and I actually have a share. I can share the screen. And there you guys are.
So many years ago.
I was just going through your website. I mean, that's a cool picture. Like you guys look like a duo.
I love it.
How did this duo come to be?
Oh gosh, I mean, we've been working together almost 20 years. We met in college and undergrad at UC San Diego. And we started working together after college. Both of us are from Southern California, from the LA area. And we all had friends in film school. We did not go to film school. UCSD did not have a film program per se, but both of us took film classes. That was one of Cindy's majors down there. But it was much more experimental and conceptual. So when we came up here, though, we had friends at USC. We had friends going to AFI. We had friends who had just gotten out of film school. And all of them were looking for production designers because a lot of those programs don't have a concurrent production design program, even to this day. So I got into it personally because I was interning at the Sci-Fi Channel
Awesome.
back in the early aughts. And my co-intern, my friend Will Liu, he had gone to film school and he needed art department for the shorts that he was filming on his own. And I didn't really know what that meant. So he was like, "You're artsy. You went to school for art." I went for studio art and painting and photography and stuff like that. But can you do props? And I was like, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Those were my humble beginnings, the intern class at the Sci-Fi Channel. But I ran into Cindy on those sets because Cindy had a very similar path right out of school. So
yeah, I PA'd actually on a bunch of indie movies during the summer outside of college, and every time I was on the set, I would always see the coolest department hauling furniture, pushing plants on, dollies. And they were always having fun, it looked like to me. And I was just like, how do I get into that?
As you're the PA at the brand new PA.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe not the most fun.
No, definitely not. Locking up was not fun at all. But the art department always looked like they were doing something really interesting visually. And, even watching movies, when I was younger, I had always been allured by everything that was visual on screen. And not knowing how to get into it, just started doing student films like Michelle, and together we ran into each other on a mutual friend's set, and we just bonded, from there, and decided that, hey, we could try this. It's just the two of us. And it was quite a wild ride, I will say.
Yeah, we did. We worked together many, many, many years as we were on jobs where we were the only two people in the art department. By art department at that level, we mean not just production design, but props and set dressing and buying and shopping and painting and light construction and driving our own trucks and being on set, being the on-set dresser, being the on-set props person, going home every night and prepping and building more for the next day. Like we did all of that ourselves, just the two of us for many years. While we also had day jobs, because that wasn't paying the bills. So, at a point, at a certain point, we linked up. This whole time, we also still had friends also trying to work in the film industry. Production tracks, directing tracks, writing, all sorts of crew positions. Everybody was doing everything, and a few of us got together to work on our own feature-length film. So totally self-funded. Nobody got paid on that. It took us about 2 years of shooting to get it done. Borrowed locations. We shot at a church in Malibu that one of the actors was living in as like kind of a character situation, I think. And I don't, to this day, I still don't know if the church knew we were shooting there. Up in the Palisades. So we would all do our day jobs Monday through Friday, and sometimes after work, definitely on the weekends. Then we would all get in our cars, drive to the Palisades, which for some of us was like an hour and a half to get there, and then shoot for however many hours we could, and then go back home and then do it over the next day. So we did that a couple of years, and then that film got us into Sundance. So from there, that little team, when you start out doing independent stuff in this industry, you get your little family and you kind of travel together for a while. With that little family, we got feature films that got funding actually and interest from producers, and we traveled with them for a minute, kind of taking the next step up together and the next step up together. And Cindy and I finally were able to hire crews, you know, and
Okay. Yeah, get some help.
and then we kept going back to Sundance. And one of those times we Cindy and I got the interest of an agent. We started working with an agent a few years ago, and you know, it's not a simple story from there, but that was the turning point for us, working on bigger projects, and eventually joining our union, and still working together today.
I remember the moment where we were like, I guess we're quitting our real life job. Like, this is it. And it was great to do it with someone who was on the same path.
Yeah. You can dive in with someone, you know, holding their hand and just like, okay, I'm not doing this alone.
We'll be pros together. I mean, we have been. So, yeah.
There's multiple articles referring to the two of you as jacks of all trades, and it sounds like that's a pretty accurate description.
Right.
Based on that very bare bones how you came up.
Like, I've been on set and I was like, you guys just named 50 different people. Like, I've been on big sets, and I was like, even small sets, I was like, that's still like 25 people you just named.
I'm wondering, what's that first film? Is there somewhere we can watch it or check it out?
I don't know if you can watch it anywhere. It's called One Too Many Mornings.
I still have like 10 DVDs.
I know I have DVDs.
If I can get like a signed copy,
right? Yeah.
We'll send you DVDs. I truly don't think you can stream it anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to hold on to that piece of history for sure.
Yeah, it's called One Too Many Mornings. So
awesome name. I'm intrigued already. So I want to get into, because this is actually like one of the funniest shows on TV in recent history, and that is a Black Lady sketch show. And
so good.
And I feel like that must be very interesting to work on as a set designer or a production designer, because of, you know, it's changing themes and different attitudes and colors and everything, just depending on like whatever the sketch is. So that must be a lot of work to go on. And is it something like, do you guys like have to do stuff like this where you just like, who exactly types that up? And like,
yes.
I remember that.
That's
I can tell you what that smear came from. That was me. That was an accident.
This little smear
no. That's authenticity.
Yes, that is.
So you know, it was like the brightest red lipstick and went like that, and my thumb just went the wrong direction.
That's
lipstick
for the arrow.
Yeah. But we let it ride because it kind of looks cool.
But that would happen in real life.
Exactly. It lends an authenticity to it that, you know.
And that's why you don't let production designers touch anything on set once it's in front of the camera. Because we'll fuss. And sometimes the fussing doesn't go right. So.
Yeah.
So is doing a sketch show harder because you have to, you know, have sets and then fill up the entire sets for each individual sketch? Or is it kind of just like doing a regular show where it's like, I mean, like Light as a Feather, and episodes of that, you'll have so many different locations. Is a sketch show kind of the same, except instead of finding all these different locations for, you know, the one storyline, you're just finding individual locations for all the others?
Yes and no, I would say. I think it really depends on the show. With Black Lady, we knew going into it that it was going to be a location heavy show. And, you know, each sketch, we have to find a different location or a different set. Sometimes each sketch, or sometimes the set has more than one location or one look. But for that one, it was so fast paced because our turnarounds were much quicker in terms of having to, you know, dress the location. Sometimes in first season, it was sometimes the same day, and then wrap, you know, shoot and then wrap the same day, like depending. And you know, we've been on that show for 4 seasons now, and we've kind of gotten into this rhythm. Like first season was crazy. You know, it was like our first time doing it. It was the first time with the showrunner, with the production. We were trying to still like working the wheels a little bit. Second season, the pandemic hit. So we had started to prep it, pandemic hit, and then we were down, and then we came back with a whole new system. And that kind of paved the way of how the rest of the seasons were going to be, because we were, we started to model, Robin Thede, our showrunner, started to model a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion to happen, because during that time we couldn't meet in person. So we really had to plan everything out before we started to shoot.
We did all of season 2 on Zoom as far as prep. We every
yes
of season 2 of Black Lady Sketch Show, art department wise. Oh, hi. That's one of our but yeah, all of the, clearly, shooting was in person, of course, but like everything on prep was on Zoom. We used Trello, we used Slack, we got really good at sort of these communication tools. And it kind of forced, I don't know if this is true of a lot of productions. I think theoretically it was what everybody was hoping for. And on Black Lady, it actually came true, where working that way and being so intentional and kind of being forced to slow down in a lot of ways, even as Slack and things like that also actually speed things up. But it forced us to be a lot more intentional with our communication. And what the result of that was behind the scenes, the show became very focused and, manageable in a lot of ways that other shows have not been, because you're working with somebody with like Robin, our showrunner, who's also the star, also the creator of the show. She wears every hat, and she likes to know what's going on. And we found that all of those tools now at our fingertips really made it easy to communicate with her. And she really pushed everybody to prep as much in advance as possible, so that we're not wasting time on the day figuring anything out, unless it's something that's unpredictable. Like those things always happen on productions, no matter how prepared you are going in. But on Black Lady Sketch Show, we literally, she made sure that the very first thing we had on our hands was every single script for the season. She made sure that Cindy and I were invited to the table reads, and that there were big table reads, and anybody who needed to see that, who that would help, could attend. And it really helped us, because it's one thing getting a brick of like 300 pages. And it's a whole other thing to be able to kind of read along while someone's performing it. And there's so many different, those women, those actresses are so brilliant at what they do. And a lot of it is improv, So getting to go to the table read, you get a sense of how much improv they're going to do for any particular script, where they might kind of go off the rails, when new ideas might be coming in that might affect props and things like that. So that's like day one for us on that show. So from the get, you're coming in with all of this good information. And then on top of that, we were doing weekly check-ins at the top of the week with every department on at the same time, which is not a thing that a lot of shows do. You're ending the week with Cindy and I and our set decorator presenting, our take on sometimes up to a dozen sketches. We would just prep and present and then talk it through. So we got in a really good rhythm on that show. And I will say, like Light as a Feather, like that kind of show, like episodic show where you're sort of doing the same story all the way through, versus Black Lady Sketch Show, it's still kind of the same level of chaos and energy around every shoot day, because any show where you're on location, you're hopping from place to place to place every single day. For Black Lady Sketch Show, you're doing that, and you're also wrapping your head around a different story every single day that you're trying to tell. So I feel like there's a little bit of a feeling that's a misconception out there, where it's like, you're doing a sketch comedy show, it's all light and funny and easy. It's light and fun, it's funny. Easy. So it's like, you are like, when Cindy and I start working on start breaking down a season, start reading the scripts, we are taking it very seriously, because Black Lady Sketch Show is a funny show. It's also a show with a real voice that wants to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's speaking to an audience that traditionally has not been spoken to before by big networks and well-funded studio productions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
The
Absolutely.
representation that's being
yeah,
displayed on that show is actually phenomenal.
exactly. So
Oh,
there
yeah.
was never a moment where we weren't taking it seriously on that show, which
Mhm.
meant every single story had its own references. Every single sketch had its own style. Like
Mhm.
you're going in and you're making it like every single day is its own mini movie.
Mhm.
Gosh.
And I am just kind of like reading a quote. This is a quote from Cindy here from a Screen Rant interview. It says, "When we start, we get a Bible of all
Mhm.
of the sketches, and it's thick. It's over 200 pages, and we
Mhm.
get the opportunity to participate in the table read. So we see all the actors performing and read through each sketch. Just for our viewers, can you explain kind of like what a like the Bible really
Show
is?
Bible is.
The show Bible."
Oh, so it's basically all of the written sketches together. So the way it's formatted actually is each sketch is about, I don't know, like sometimes 5 to 7 pages long, sometimes
Mhm.
less. And there's a cover page for each one. And the writers have done such a great job basically describing log line, who the characters are, location, and any film or TV references tonally of what the sketch is going to be, and then it's the sketch. And usually there's like 40 to 45 sketches, and that is what the Bible is.
Yeah.
Like per
Actually
season?
more. Yeah, we start out with
Mm.
more. It ends up getting cut down to like high 30s, low 40s kind of
Oh, yeah.
on
You
screen.
know, just
Yeah.
a nice small number. You know,
Yeah.
not a lot of work.
Yeah. And to mention the table read, it takes 2 days because
Yeah.
we can't get through all of them in
Mhm.
one day.
Is it hilarious?
Yes.
I feel like it must be hilarious.
There are some sketches when you first read, like at least for me, I'm like, oh, this is funny. But some of them, I'm like, I don't get the joke. And when they perform it, it comes alive. And they're like, the first time we went to a table read, it was in person, and it's just like so much like physicality, and they're just like sometimes interacting with each other and hitting each other, walking up and down. It's hilarious. On Zoom, it's still the same, except they're sitting. So it's hilarious. It's just like so much of their improvisation, their acting. It just really comes alive on page, and you really, really get the jokes.
And then
from there.
are you then like kind of like building the sets, like once you like see how they're going to be acting and what the performance is going to be like, is that when you start kind of like getting to work on some of the, like you start picturing like, oh, I want them to be in this type of space, and like you start visualizing that? Okay, that is awesome.
So, actually, Nine, can you scroll up just a little bit? Because I actually have stop. I have a question. Nope, down right there. I have a question right there with that CIA logo. So one of the things that we were surprised when we first started talking to production designers is how you have to be worried about copyright and things, even like the infamous the Hangover 2 tattoo, So how do you work around things like the CIA logo? I mean,
I think that HBO, so every studio has kind of their own rules around clearances and what they're going to allow. HBO, for our show, for the contract we were under for the usage and the kind of show that we were, which is technically a variety show, they allowed us to replicate real logos for pretty much everything. So, there are certain lines, like it's like there's a line between something that is a product versus artwork. So for artwork, you can't replicate that without the sign off from the artist, right? But for something that is a product or a known brand, they had a rule for us where as long as we replicated it faithfully, we could use it. So if it was like Time magazine, there are a lot of magazine covers and sort of spoof magazines on this show. If we needed Time magazine, which we did in this season 1, as long as we got the formatting of Time and the actual like masthead of it correct, they allowed us to replace the image. And you know, we have a graphic designer for this show. It was so important. We had a full-time graphic designer every single day, Sarah Gonzalez, who's amazing. And she really set the look of the graphics on the show. But it was so helpful for her to, you know, go in and be able to replicate these real things.
Kind of had that restriction off.
Yeah. It's still a lot of work because you're not going, you know, you can't just find like a super high res vector file of everything you need and play. And even if you could, she would still legally have to recreate it, I think.
Yep.
So she was still in there like tracing everything and figuring out how to replicate stuff. But that was like half of her job was replicating stuff like that. But
oh wow.
Wow.
Honestly, because as long as we got that clearance question is one of our favorite ones.
We can make this whole hour about clearances. You guys
know.
We would be enthralled to hear.
Actually, you do. But I'm going to ask it because I want to know, what was the hardest thing you had to get clearance for?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
That's a great question. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna say there's not a particular brand that comes to mind, but I will say one of the things that every single season since I think season 2 is when we started doing it was we use real artwork by real artists, specifically Black women artists. And it wasn't that it was challenging to get their sign off, but that was a whole other task for our set decorating department every season, which I think if you ever had them on, like they would be like, yes, that was a beast. So I'm going to mention it, but it was our intention. You know, you're designing an HBO show, you know, it's going to be seen. Every interior set needs artwork. Why would you not use this as an opportunity? With the show being what it is, with the mission that it has, you know, that's a clear opportunity to incorporate art by visual artists who are Black women, but to give them a bump, if possible, of attention or, you know, notice, and to also make your sets feel more real because you're using real artwork. You're not just using landscapes that you're renting all of the time from different places like prop houses. But what that entailed was, you know, Cindy and I had our short lists of artists that we already liked. Our set decorator also had a similar list. We would get our art PA and other folks are, you know, researching additional people that we could contact. And then our set decorating team and our art coordinator would go out and have to contact these people. And it was always under a deadline. You know, there's a season 4 sketch we did that's an art auction. And I know, even though our set decorator, Lizzie Boyle, she tried to save us the grief of it, I know she was up until the very last minute about whether these key pieces we needed were going to get the sign-offs in time.
Oh, she definitely had that because that sketch got pulled up. It was supposed to be later in the season, and for some reason or whatnot, that got pulled up to one of the first sketches. And I mean, before we could even get this, like even after we got the sign-off, we would have to like get them made. So it's those deadlines that we're just like, okay, even though we have the artists and we have them approved, like getting them made or getting them, you know, in our hands was also always like a tough, stressful thing to deal with. And I remember also because there was one title card in another season, we had contacted a custom embroiderer, and we only had one item that she needed to ship was a custom pillow with a title card that she embroidered on, and it was in between our hiatus, and that sketch was first up after our holiday break, and she had mailed it. She had sent it off to FedEx. She's from New York, and she had dropped it off at FedEx, and the whole time I remember myself and our coordinator was like trying to track where this package was because it was during the holidays. She said she had dropped it off, but we could see on the tracking that it still hadn't left the 7-Eleven or wherever she dropped it off. And it was driving us crazy because we were like, we really need to get this before the new year, because we start shooting this like first up. And I don't know what happened, but we ended up getting it, I think, like the day before we needed to start shooting.
God.
It was so
Miracles.
So
stressful.
close, yeah.
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 Now, so I'm sorry to jump around to all of you to so many different projects, but so the artwork actually made me think of one of my question, a different question I had. In Save the Date at the end with Sarah's art show. Was that did you two create that artwork? Did you hire someone?
No.
How'd you end up going about that?
Do you guys know the graphic novelist Jeffrey Brown at all?
I would have to know what he's made.
He got notice early. He got notice in the mid 2000s for a series of graphic novels called Unlucky, Clumsy. They were autobiographical about his life and sort of his romances and being a young adult, you know, like at that time. And they were a very like indie comic scene.
And now he does ones.
You can see where it translates onto the
Oh, absolutely.
movie
I'm
too.
pretty
That's
sure
awesome.
I'm pretty sure we got those bound at a Kinko's. You know,
We
it's
did. Yeah, but this is some of his artwork right here.
Yeah,
And-
that's so Sarah's artwork in the movie, obviously.
yeah, it's literally. But so he for the movie, because he was so intimately involved with it, with the creation of the movie, and because she was a cartoonist in her, he did all of her artwork. He I think still probably lives in Chicago, but he was from Chicago, and he you know, would mail us these incredible padded envelopes full of original artwork.
That's really cool.
So for Cindy and I, that was such a dream come true because we were such nerds and fans of his. You know, it was like a dream. We would just open these packages and they would be full of
This is all in my closet. In my
yeah.
That's so fantastic. It's such a great movie. I really do love that one.
Yeah.
But it's all his art. It's all Jeffrey Brown's art.
So another question I have about that movie. Do you two choose the cat?
No.
I don't know if that's part of your department. I was really hoping you were about to tell me an epic story about cat auditions.
You know what though? We tried to get our friend at the time who had a beautiful orange cat, and we were like, he would be perfect. He should audition for it. And we like put him, I forgot his name, what the cat's name was.
Garfield.
Yes.
He hates Mondays.
No, it was our friend Emily's cat Pilsen.
Yeah, Pilsen. Yes. Because we had done a short with her. And she was the star of it. And her cat, we were like, you know, pushing him on. And I don't know, I think he did audition for it, but I guess You didn't get the part.
We were not part of the process, unfortunately. That was one of the hats we did not wear.
I'm so sorry.
I did mention that I'm in Chicago. And last week, one of she's an all-star artist lately, and that is SZA was in town. And it was so cool to know that you guys did the supermodel. And
Yeah.
I guess it's the vibe with that whole album, that whole visual, having it be so dreamlike, and I can't play the music, of course, because yeah. But what's the difference of like coming up with something, or like designing something that looks like this, and there's this like fantasy almost aesthetic to it, and she's like in this tent, and how is that process different for like a music video than just a regular well, not regular, but like film and TV?
Yeah.
For music videos, there are just fewer rules. You know that you can lean into the fantasy of it. You know that there's going to be more special effects moments with haze and lights and glitter and things like that for something like that. It's a lot of fun to be able to just drop, a beaded fringed tent in the middle of, this was Griffith Park, actually a weird part of Griffith Park, that originally looked like a dirt lot. And we're like, how is this? But or like a trail. But yeah, it was very it's freeing to do music videos. It's also very exhausting because they tend to happen really quickly with quick turnarounds. A lot of concentrated effort all at once. Obviously multiple approvals at all sorts of different levels. But this set in particular, I feel like was an early specialty of ours, was this sort of like teenage bedroom kind of this fantasy bedroom, where I feel like if there was any kind of retrospective on Cindy and my work from like the early 2000s and the 2010s, it would just be teenagers' bedrooms.
Yes.
That's amazing.
But this one was fun because I remember the producer had us have a conversation with SZA, and she was just starting to be famous. I think it was like the first big
Control. That was just like a landmark, just kind of skyrocketed from there.
Right? Yeah, because I had no idea who she was, and she was starting to become like the next big Mariah Carey, they were saying, and like the conversation with her was like totally chill, and she just wanted it to be very like fantastical and girly and like surreal, and she just was just like, have fun with it, like I just wanted to feel magical because I'm coming from from this bedroom into a magical forest, so we kind of took her lead and played with it.
Yeah, that's so interesting, just because it matches the aesthetic of like, you would almost get the sense that you did all of the videos for the Control album because of how much it matches all of the aesthetics for the other ones,
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Oh. So with music videos, do you find that you're, obviously you're going to be speaking to the direct artist or musician more. Do you have to like pitch more towards them, towards the producers? What's that dynamic like?
I think it depends on the artist, right? Like the artist usually has like an aesthetic, and usually it's kind of, stripped down to the producer telling us. For SZA, this was kind of, I feel like, a special circumstance where we got to interact with her.
And I think it also depends. Like I know a lot of there are production designers who kind of only do music videos, and they do get to do these amazing things. But there are also designers who have relationships with the artist because they've done so many of their videos. I'm glad that we never got to that point with any particular artist, but there are those out there that just do every single one of those artist videos, and I feel like there's got to be a similar relationship to what you get if you kind of work with the same director over and over. You understand what they need, you understand what they want, where their head's at, and how it needs to be different than the last one.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
one of our favorite directors is actually Hiro Murai, who
yeah.
did so many of Childish Gambino's music videos, and then as well, so many episodes of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it comes down to kind of like being artists and wanting to collaborate with each other, right? So it's like if you have that connection, you just want to work with that person over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I also wanted to ask you because, of course, this is going on YouTube, and then it says that you've done the YouTube 2012 rewind.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was
so like
Oh,
I just found so like random because I guess you never really think about like, oh yeah, I guess they
starting
would have had
video.
to have a let me see if I can get
Oh, this one was a wild ride.
Walk Off the Earth is so much fun.
I just still cannot believe that that this was the year of Gangnam Style.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Starstruck about Psy specifically.
Right there.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I forgot about this.
Rewind YouTube style.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Oh, Rhett and Link Zebra.
Yeah. This was back when
doing?
we were doing a lot of stuff still. I don't think this was just the two of us. We had a small crew.
Okay. I was wondering about that because there's like
there's
lot
so much going on.
There was a lot going on,
There's
but
a lot.
if only I had the ready. I have a photo somewhere. That zebra costume, which we picked up. We picked up from Rhett and
Link.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Rhett.
It was their taxidermy commercial.
Yeah, we picked it up from Rhett and Link, and there I have a photo somewhere deep in my archives of like my mom or my grandma wearing.
Oh
that
yes, I remember that.
House because they wanted to try it on.
That's amazing.
I had taken it home. We had a small crew with us on that, but it was still non-union, so we were wearing a lot of hats still. I took it home for some reason. I think it needed like some tailoring done or something fixed with the sewing.
I so figured you were just going to say like it was pretty rank. We needed to clean it.
Maybe Link. After.
Not nasty. It was fine. It was okay enough that I felt fine putting it on my grandmother's head.
the DP on that on this shoot is Catherine Goldschmidt. She's up for an Emmy this year for House of Dragons.
Yeah, House of Dragons.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And these videos are always just so much going on.
I know.
There's so much going on.
This was fun.
You guys can't hear it, but it's Carly Rae Jepsen going on in the background.
Really?
Oh, I'm well aware.
Wow.
That's back when I was still at college, but shouldn't be going to college. Yeah. Stuck around a little too long.
That like like as in other art forms, like as in music, that like production design also like evolves in like trends like that too, where we're look back at like Gangnam Style and Call Me Maybe, and we're like, oh yeah, that was kind of like a peculiarity of like that era. And if so, like what is the are there any examples? Well, I guess you did say that like you getting your start with like the teenage bedroom scene.
That's interesting. Well, I don't know. There have to be some tells. I'm gonna say, even though we've been working in this industry for almost 20 years, I don't know that we've been in it long enough to be able to tell what the eras are of like the change from. Like I wouldn't necessarily be able to watch something from 2005 and be able to tell what it was in 2015. It's too short a span of time. But like, because also production design is like you're going in and you're trying to pin down the era that you're supposed to be in, right? So it's like,
right, yeah.
I do think it's going to be interesting in like 20 years to see what like actual movies made in the 90s looked like versus movies made 5 years from now that were about the 90s. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I do think there is probably going to be a difference similar to the way fashion evolves, but like I don't know if I have enough perspective right now to call that out at this point.
If they were to remake Back to the Future right now, it'd be set in the 90s.
Yeah, probably.
No,
Probably.
Oh, it would.
that's the math.
Probably,
That's the
yeah.
path they
Yeah.
go back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, Jeff.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me.
Yeah. Not happy about that.
Terry, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad we don't do these live. I'm just having the worst internet connection here. Well, I have a deep question, and how important is it to you that the work that you choose to work on, either film or TV shows, aligns with your personal values?
Oh, very important.
Mhm.
Very.
Very important.
You know, you know, our agent sends us a lot of stuff, and we've come into a habit where we will get something from her, and if the topic's not jiving with us, we will tell her this isn't us. This isn't our style. We had no interest in, you know, doing this kind of movie. So for us, it's very important to work on something that we value, we care about, and want to tell a story about.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we've gotten a lot better at verbalizing in the past few years, and become a lot more conscientious about, because I think, you know, a few years ago, something happened in the nation that was upsetting to a lot of people when they had a different president. And I think that little fire under a lot of people, it definitely made a difference. It definitely was a turning point for Cindy and I, where we made that conscious decision, and we'd kind of been making that decision already, but we gave voice to the decision that, you know, we want to tell stories that have a chance of making a difference. We want to tell stories that are diverse, that reflect who we are as people, what we value as people, what we value as, you know, people of color, as women coming up in this industry and in this nation. You know, prior to that, we had already kind of been turning things down that didn't feel good to us, that didn't feel right to us, but not necessarily verbalizing why. For the last few years, we've been like, okay, this is the reason why we won't do this one. This is the reason why we don't want to do this one. And also, this is the reason why we really, really want to do this or that. So,
Right.
yeah, it's become a much more of a focus.
And since you guys are like this duo, right? Has there, I don't want to like, you know, dig up old hatchets, but has there ever been like a project that you know that you had to get the other one to like, you know, want to be
Oh,
part of or anything like that, and or like that you were kind of like
I don't-
hesitant about?
That was not where I thought your question was going.
What?
I want to hear.
Yeah,
We'll answer this one, but I want to hear what question you thought.
Yeah.
You were setting it up for a very different question.
What? Yeah, I was thinking something else.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we've been pretty like on the same page.
Yeah, yeah. The ones that we don't like, the ones that we do like, you know, and you know, there is part of that is we are both Asian American women of about the same age, like give or take a year, who grew up in Southern California, who found this industry, went to the same college. You know, we came up with a lot of common. Yeah, I mean, we're very different people, but we came up in a lot of parallel paths, right? So I think both of us came from similar places in terms of values and what we want to do, and certainly working together for as long as we have, like our values have also developed together. So it's yeah, I feel like that's the kind of the easy part of like deciding what we're interested in or not. There's usually not an argument about it.
That's cool. That's cool. I think I know what question that Jeff thought I was going to ask, or my co-host thought I was going to ask. I'm just going to guess. It's that. Well, did you think I was going to ask like which ones did you turn down?
Yeah, like was there one that you just really were
immediately? I don't
like,
want
no.
them to put people on blast.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to ask the opposite of that. Was there one where it just spoke to you so much that you two were just like, I don't care what we have to do, we're going to fight and we are going to get this one?
American Born Chains.
Oh yeah, that's definite.
That was the one.
It was
I'm
more
sorry.
like, if we don't get this one, we don't have a career anymore.
Yeah, American Born Chinese. If we hadn't booked American Born Chinese, we were both prepared to just quit the industry and do other things.
And that is really awesome. So did you get to meet Michelle and
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we went to
Oh my
dim sum
God.
with her.
Oh my
And I couldn't eat. The first
gosh.
time I couldn't eat was sitting next to her. I was like, I want to eat, but I can't.
I would
so
be
good.
like talking about that all the time
Right.
if I were you guys. I'd be like,
Hi, my name's Jeff. Are you aware of American Born Chinese?
No, but she was
No reason.
awesome. She was awesome.
Yeah, she's just everything that you think she is and want her to be, basically. It was like when we met Michelle Obama. We met Michelle Obama
Yes.
for Mochi. It was kind of the same thing, as like that degree of being starstruck and also that degree of validation for like idolizing this person. It's like, oh, you are as lovely as I thought you would be.
Mhm.
There's no disappointment here.
Thank God, because it's just so heartbreaking when you hear the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind that Michelle, is like who I think she is.
She is.
Yeah. About American-born Chinese, I it seems a lot like, I don't know if I could say like different than your other works, but maybe the CGI elements that are put into it, maybe is that kind of like something different than what you are typically working around and working with,
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
how does that kind of like affect your workflow?
Well, this was the first show that we worked on that had stunts in every single episode, that had a whole dedicated unit for stunts, is what it turned out to be. So that's just a whole other level of consideration when you're designing something, knowing that you are going to need to accommodate stunt performers. Learning that was learning how to work with stunt folks that needed this level of design to their specific needs. That was such a great this show was such a great way to learn about that. We had to build some sets twice. We had to build some sets taller. Everything needed to be able to move, every wall, every ceiling, every set piece, every like piece of dressing. We needed doubles and doubles and doubles of lots of things.
Couple of things are going to break during that.
Yeah. Some of these were on location, for the most
Mhm.
part. For the big stunt sequences, they were builds, but like that arcade, that was on location. That the basement, that was on location. So there are others way different considerations for when you're building versus doing something on location like that too. But that was a whole other half of designing that we hadn't had the chance to do before American Born Chinese.
Yeah, but it was exciting because being able to work with Peng, who was our stunt coordinator, was phenomenal. He had worked with Destin on Shang-Chi, and it was just a great collaboration because he really, really showed and prepared what his stunt choreography was going to be. And what he did was he would lay out boxes in like as walls, and we got with him to tell him what the floor plan is, and he was able to work with us. We were able to work with him to give him what he needed, and it was just a really lovely process just to see it from start to finish, because in the beginning it's like, oh, you like, okay, you tell us and we'll make it happen. And it was so cool to watch it in the final edit, and even during they're such hard workers, and all the stunt performers were amazing to watch.
Oh, and also, I mean, that was also such a VFX heavy show.
Yes.
Right. So we early on, we like early on understood that it would need to be because of episodes like episode 4, which was in heaven, and all of these things that had these big fight scenes. All of this is gets a pass through VFX, right, to erase wires and fill back in ceilings and add these effects like the sparks and things like that, and make the Jingu Bang, the staff grow and grow and get small.
Right. Yeah.
All of that stuff. So we, Caitlin Yang was our VFX supervisor on the show, and super early on, Cindy and I got to be friends with her and started talking right away about which things would need to be practical builds versus falling to her world for visual effects for post. And after, and we don't get to see any of that while we're shooting. We just kind of theoretically know it's going to get filled in, right? So when we first started seeing her and her team's VFX work, we were just blown away. Like this whole thing, that was looking out onto heaven in that sort of like cliff over, like this, like all of that is Caitlin and her team's work. This was shot like at a location, but I think this was at Golden Oak Ranch, which is a movie ranch in California, and it was probably, I don't think there was anything in front of them. This was the part where they landed in a forest, I think, and in front of them was probably a hill of dirt,
Yeah. So this is when you mentioned like you're going to be using the volume. This is when I thought like, okay, this looks like volume would be incorporated. It's interesting. That's interesting.
So were you?
And then back to the back to your teenage bedrooms.
Yes.
Captain America there.
Yep.
And so are you like putting in all those designs? I'm seeing Goku, Captain America, Superman.
Oh yeah, those all had to be cleared.
Okay, yeah.
Even the Marvel stuff had to be cleared.
Yep.
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
That's actually
right. Yeah.
That's what we thought, but you know what? There's rules.
Wow.
So with a show that has so much in the realm of VFX and stuff like that, are you doing a lot? Are you doing a lot of work in post as well? Just making sure it's sticking to the design, or is it out of your hands?
No. There's a bit of a debate about that sort of going on right now. For that show, we were hands off as soon as the last shot was shot, basically.
Okay.
Which is usually what happens. But it does make a lot of sense to have the production designer stay on through the post process and be able to give input and make sure that things are lining up with the way it was intended to be designed. So it's an ongoing debate, an ongoing conversation. What that means on a practical level to productions is it costs them more money to retain somebody for longer, especially a department head. So there's a lot of pushback, I think, against that. But there are also designers I know who insist upon that oversight after the fact. I think it depends on the project. I think it depends on your relationship with the people who have hired you, with the studio, with the producers, also with the director, if they have the pull on a feature or something to keep their team going. I don't think it's a standard thing for production designers to be able to have that right now, but we're working on it.
I mean, hey, I'm pushing for it. I think it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It really does.
Let me know when the next vote comes up. I'll make sure
Thank you. You can also, I will say, you can also get to be friends with the VFX supervisor and remind her along the way when she's working. Hey, when you get to this, text with a reference photo.
Yes.
She remembers.
Right.
There's also that you can do.
Pays to be friendly.
So with working on that, which do y'all prefer, TV or film?
Oh, I mean, we haven't done a film in a long time, so I'm kind of missing doing a film.
I know, me
to
too.
be honest. Yeah.
TV's fun because it is really, really quick, and that you get a longer span of time to tell your story, which is always has so much potential,
Right.
But I miss features. I
feel like the prep is longer for features, because there's so much with TV. Like you spend a lot of the time prepping maybe the first episode, and then it gets real crazy after, because then it's just like you literally only have maybe a week to get the next episode, and then you have like 6 or 7 more episodes afterwards that you have to keep keeping up. You have to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So crafting a pilot, it takes a lot, of prep time first, and then and then you're guerrilla running. Yeah,
because you're setting the tone for the rest of the series. So oftentimes too, there'll be a lot more money put into the pilot to the first episode. A director will get a lot more prep time with that episode than any other director in the rest of the series, unless you have only one director throughout it. But for features, what I miss too, and why I loved Black Lady Sketch Show is, again, like on Black Lady Sketch Show, for a feature, you get the script and it's the script, right? It might change, it might evolve, but you're going to see those things coming. It's not like in TV, very often you don't know. If you have like an 8-episode order for a show, you might know what those first 3 scripts are when you sign on, and you don't even know what the rest of it's going to be until much
we've
later.
been told that before.
So it's nice being able to have that long view, and kind of like as a creative person who's doing the design for the show, you know, it's for a feature to be able to know where it starts and know where it ends, even if it's vaguely, and also understand what the whole arc of the characters is supposed to be. Like, that makes a huge difference in the way you wrap your head around the story and what things should look like.
Right.
Amazing.
Fair.
Amazing.
All right. So I know we're coming up on time here, but I've got one last question that I always like to ask, and it's for both of you, and it's just, what is like one past film, TV show that you would have just loved to have been able to do the production design on?
Oh
well, are you gonna say the same one?
For me,
are you that in tune?
I don't know. Should we say it together?
Count us down. Count us down.
3, 2, one, go.
Wong Kar-wai.
Oh, I should no.
It's mine. Wait, what did you
Everything
say?
Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, you said Everything Everywhere, and then you, Cindy, you said what?
Wong Kar-wai, In the Mood for Love.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one is.
Oh,
well, go to the
beautiful.
I was gonna say, go to the production design week presentation on Saturday, and you'll see it.
Yes, that's one of the sets we recreated. But
that's
yes,
One car wide.
Yeah.
I would have said Fraggle Rock, but whatever.
Oh, Fraggle
Rock! Oh my god! I also just rewatched. Okay, I'm not even answering the question right, because I'm not naming ones I would redo, because I think what Jason Coatsvarde did for Everything Everywhere All at Once was like perfect.
Yeah.
So
the question is more like
time I watch that movie,
not redo, just your dream one to work on.
Yeah, I just in the spirit of Halloween, I just rewatched Practical Magic.
Oh, you always watch it every year.
I've started to. It's very comforting. But you guys remember that movie?
Of course.
Okay.
The iconic scene where she blows the candle lit instead of out.
Listen, Practical Magic is one of those perfect films that ages so well.
One of the best depictions of witches, like, not evil, just like, hey, this is just magic, and this is how you do it.
Listen, being a witch and being a woman, like, the message of this film is being a witch and being a woman is fun as shit. So that movie, you know, it actually has been a couple of years since I rewatched it, but I do rewatch it regularly. I rewatched it like yesterday, so it is super fresh on my mind, and it's such a beautiful set. Like, that house, like everything really, like every part of that movie, all of the sets are fantastic, but that house is a masterpiece. It is just everything you want it to be. It's like, it's mysterious but cozy. It's like, I don't know, it's everything.
It's what the Charmed House was trying to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. It's specific. It's like you can get with things like that, with like haunted houses, with things that are sort of tropes, like a witch's house. Like, you can get into this trap where you're just kind of doing what everybody thinks of because you want to deliver that. And the challenge there is to make it specific still, I think. And that house is so specific, you know, even though it hits all those notes that you want it to, it's also so specific. I think that's such a triumph.
Very much agreed. I mean, like, are they the older witches? Are they their aunts as well? Because I mean, it's like a grown-up version of Sabrina, you know?
Yep. Totally.
And just done so well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so delicious. Like, I would totally have wanted to do that.
Yeah, that does look like an awesome location. Oh, I also have one more question as well. Michelle, that Edward and Bella back there?
Yes.
Is that what I'm seeing back there? Okay, just wondering.
If you look really close, which I know you can't on Zoom, but like they both have glitter on their faces.
Okay.
Because this is after
Nice.
Bella has turned. If you say the little bite marks,
Yeah.
as Edward was here. So
Okay.
turning for Bella. They're both vampires. They're both immortal at this point. So they both get that glitter.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's an artist in Kentucky, I think, who Billy Lilly Universe is their Instagram, but it's like that he does these amazing pop culture portraits on plywood, and it's just after I've gotten to the habit of after Sydney and I wrap a show, I treat myself to buying a piece of art, and that was one of the ones I bought one time.
That's
really fun.
Nice. Okay. Is there anything else that you guys like would want to plug or just show off and just show out with or let us know that about some upcoming work?
She already showed off Edward and Bella.
I know.
Or where can people find you
But
guys?
seriously, I'm just joking.
We would love to plug our next project, but we're still in process on it because it got shut down during the writer's strike. So it's not done yet, so we can't talk about it yet. But when it comes out, we will be very excited to talk with you guys about it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. But this is your Instagram.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And also that is your website here. You
Mhm.
can see the badass John Wick
Can I
pictures.
just say, your website is fantastic. Did you two design it?
Thank
Jeff's
you.
been going
Yes, we
crazy
did.
about your website.
I love it so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's so unique. I love how I mean, even just something so simple as you hover over the picture and that's where you find the name. That's such a brilliant way of showcasing your work.
you.
I can't.
You.
It's fantastic.
You are reminding me that we really need to update this website.
Yes, it has not been
I'm
updated.
actually horrified that you guys have been referring to it so long since we've updated it.
Hey, it gave us a great starting point, we'll say.
What to do about nothing? Yeah, no, I
That's,
thought it was.
yeah, that's what we
it
should
was
have
great.
spent our downtime on.
I know. But it was a nice trip to memory lane of our meetings.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm like still excited about this interview, you know what I mean? I feel like I could talk to you guys all day, and hopefully we get to do this again sometime soon. I can't wait until you guys have another project out and we can hopefully talk about that. But in the meantime, yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us, and I'm going to end the recording right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.